Hey everyone, so I haven't really done like a sit down and talk video except for my welcome to my channel video, which was about 6 months ago, and I wanted to just try something a little different. And one thing that I wanted to talk about, because I was trying to think of what I wish there was on YouTube for me to look at kind of like in the past that wasn't really there. So the first thing that popped into my mind is that I wish that there were more videos about SCAD, which is Savannah College of Art and Design. That is where I went to school. I graduated this year, so it's still 2018, and I graduated in June. I was actually done in March since I got to graduate a quarter early, and then I had to go back to Savannah to actually walk in June, and you guys have seen my vlog from that. So I kind of wanted to go over some things that I wish I knew about SCAD before I started, because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just knew that it had the major that I wanted, which was interior design. I knew that they were #1 in interior design for multiple years in a row, which was great, and I knew that I loved the city of Savannah. I just felt like I fit in. I felt like I was accepted. I actually got accepted on this day 4 years ago, 5 years ago, one of those, because it was my birthday. Yeah, today is my birthday. That's why I'm just wearing super comfy clothes. I always get a lot of questions about SCAD because it is a small school and we're known as being the artsy fartsy kids. So I just wanted to kind of go over a few things that I wish that I knew about SCAD. So, #1, this one's pretty important. Don't bother to apply if you're not going to go into a creative field. So the reason why I applied to SCAD and wanted to go is because I thought I wanted to do interior design, but I honestly had no idea what that was at the time. But I knew that SCAD had so many other majors besides interior design. So you can major in fashion, animation, industrial design, architecture, and I knew that if I didn't want to do interiors, I wanted to go into a creative field. But I've met a good amount of students that end up going into something else, which is great, like teaching or nursing. I know some people who have just decided that they didn't want to go to college and they started their own careers, and that's great. But I just don't think that you should spend your time and energy, and most importantly, money, on going to SCAD just for a quarter, just for a year, just to see if you like it, because it's no secret that it does cost quite a lot. So I would just take that money and that time and that energy and spend it elsewhere. Just go to a university if you're not sure what you want to do, and they do have more creative classes there. And if you don't like them, and if you know that you want to do biology after a semester, then do that. Also, before you apply, think about taking as many community college classes as you can. The only reason why I was able to graduate early is because I took community college classes. So I took my English elective, got that out of the way. I did a math, and I believe I did history, which I didn't need, but it got me out of another general elective. So I was able to graduate a quarter early, and then I got one free class to do whatever I wanted with. So definitely do that. Honestly, I would take a year and just do community college classes if you can, because that will save you so much money. Another thing to keep in mind is that even just the supplies for your freshman year are going to cost a lot of money. I probably spent $500 in school supplies. So I know that a lot of colleges, you do have to rake out a lot of money for books and a computer, and probably some you have to pay for a test code, which I thought was interesting. But at SCAD, you don't usually have a required textbook that's $300, but you will have to buy, I think I had a professor, he made us buy this limited edition watercolor that cost like $40 a tube, and we had to buy 3 of them, and then we didn't even end up using them. But a lot of my supplies and books that I still have them because I use them pretty often. So keep that in mind. When you buy your supplies, make sure you buy good ones so they'll last a long time. And a lot of people do rent books, but I would recommend just buying the books. Most of my books didn't cost over $80, and I still have them, and they're still pretty useful for me. Okay, next thing is, it's easy to get in, but the trick is staying in. I know that SCAD has a pretty high acceptance rate. I believe it used to be lower, and they've started to accept more students as of lately since they've been growing and built the new dorms. But it's extremely difficult to stay in. I found that some of the things that students have trouble with staying in is the attendance policy. So at SCAD, you do have to show up to the majority of classes. Professors do take attendance, and you cannot miss more than 4 classes per class per quarter, or that's it. You're done. They will automatically fail you after you miss that 5th class unless you have a pretty valid excuse. But that's just one thing that you really have to keep track of. They do have like a MySCAD app that keeps track of your attendance policy, but professors are going to be extremely strict. And since it is a quarter system and there's only, I think it's 20 classes a quarter, missing 5 classes would be 20%. I think that's the number. Yeah, go to your classes, take notes, because if you miss 1 class, that could really affect your grade since it does go so quickly. I don't think I ever used all of my absences unless I knew that somebody was there to take notes for me. So find a buddy that you can exchange notes with, but you're probably going to end up going to all of your classes because it's studio based. So most of your classes you have to show up to draw, because you have to draw all day. You can't really do that at your dorm because there's too many distractions. So I found that it's better just to go to class, listen to your professor, take the notes, and you'll be fine. So another thing that a lot of people have trouble with is the workload. So some nicknames for SCAD that we use pretty often is sleep comes after death, because we don't sleep ever. All-nighters are normal. All-nighters will happen. I got pretty lucky and I had maybe a handful of all-nighters, because if you're bad at time management, that'll slip up on you and you're gonna end up maybe sleeping 2 hours within 3 days, and it catches up with you. I was able to take classes, 3 classes, 1 lecture, and 2 studios, and interior design studios are 5 hours. So keep that in mind if you want to do interior architecture, and I think fashion. The classes are 5 hours, twice a week, every week. So I also held down a part-time job for 2 years, and then I ended up doing an internship my senior year. So it was a lot of work. It's overwhelming, and you just have to be mentally prepared to put up with that, because honestly I think that was one of the best things that SCAD did for me, was prepare me for the real world. Different majors have different expectations and workload. So I was in interior design, which is linked together with architecture and historical preservation and architectural history, I believe, in the building arts program. I believe, based off of personal experience, that the building arts and probably fashion design are some of the hardest majors within SCAD. Those are the students that definitely were putting in a lot of hours and definitely had a lot of all-nighters. That's not to say that you're not going to have a lot of all-nighters if you choose another major, but I just saw that my workload tended to be a lot, and I did not know that when I applied to SCAD to be in interior design. I had no idea what I got myself into. That being said, a lot of majors may not seem like they have a large workload. Like, I had a roommate who did photography, and I know other students in photography that would spend not as much time as she would on her projects. It definitely showed in the end that she put so much time and effort into her work because everything just turned out amazing. So I think that's the biggest thing that you can take from this, is that the time that you put into your work will show in the end, no matter what major you are. All right, dorm life. So I started SCAD in September of 2014, and I lived in Turner House. I was so happy. I was so lucky. I was on the first floor with one roommate right by the sandwich shop. I don't even know if they still have the sandwich shop. I think they got rid of the bagel shop and put in like tacos or something. I don't know. So when I was there, it was Turner House, Turner Annex, which I believe is still there. D at the Hive and W at the Hive. So D and W have been demolished since then, since my freshman year, and now they built up this like new, futuristic, shiny dorm life community with a new gym, and they have lobby spaces and study rooms, and I didn't have any of this fancy stuff. I thought that Turner was nice. That was like top shelf dorm life. And now I see on the freshman pages or the younger classes that they're kind of complaining about Turner. Y'all don't understand how good you got it with the new dorms. I guess the good thing was I only had one roommate. In the new dorms, you're going to be paired with a roommate, and then you're going to have suite mates, so you'll end up living with 3 other students. At the time, it was a little crowded, so I know that some people had 2 to a room and some had 3 to a room. So make sure you get your dorm room deposit in early, because the earlier you get it in, the earlier you can get your house, the earlier you can get your roommate, and maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones that only gets stuck with one other roommate. And I had a great dorm experience. I think the dorms were really close to my classes. I mean, well, they're not close to the classes. You still take the bus, which is a whole story in itself. But there wasn't an issue with the location of the dorms where I couldn't get anywhere. It's really close to downtown. It's really close to shopping. It's a little far from Blick to get your school supplies, but if you really need to, you can go to Exley Ray's, which is right there. And you can always take an Uber, because I don't think that was a thing my freshman year. Yeah, we didn't have Ubers, so you couldn't just Uber anywhere. So you can get anywhere in Savannah in an Uber for like $5 to $6. It's really small. One thing that I didn't like about living at the dorms is I didn't have a kitchen, so I couldn't cook, so I had to live off of the Hive. And the Hive was pretty hit or miss. I actually ended up losing like 10 pounds my freshman year just because I was walking all over the place. It was hot, and the Hive food was not good, unless it was a SCAD day, in which case it was like top notch. Although their breakfast on the weekends is like, that will save your life many times. So one thing that I recommend definitely is getting housing off campus after your freshman year. I don't think they've upgraded any of the upperclassmen dorms, so you're going to be pretty disappointed if you go from like the new shiny freshman dorms to an upperclassmen dorm, because it's like below Turner levels. And sometimes people still live off of the meal plan, which, how do you do that? It's not good food. But one thing to keep in mind when living in off-campus housing is there's very, very few actual apartment complexes. Most of the places that you're going to live in are going to be a privately owned landlord. that you found off of Trulia, Zillow, or Craigslist, or you knew somebody who lived off campus and they like connected you with the landlord. I could do a whole nother video on just living off campus. But one thing I do want to throw in here is don't fall for the hue or the Blake. They may look nice, they may look like dorms, but it's a lot of money and you could take that money and find a way better place off campus, just trust me. Okay, so when I worked at a boutique downtown, a lot of parents would come in with their oncoming students and they were honestly worried the most about their child's social life. SCAD is known as being an art school, and we're a little weird, we're a little different, we're a little indie. And a lot of people had heard like it's a dry campus, so they figured that we didn't go out. SCAD is a college. We do go out. We do have parties. You will have fun. And honestly, like downtown Savannah is so much fun. So when you can legally go downtown, it's so easy. It's within walking distance if you live downtown. You can get an Uber for $4 and it's so cheap to go out. It's so much fun. I feel like it's such a safe area and you can walk anywhere with your friends and it's great. So another thing that I wanted to touch base on is, since this has been coming up recently with SCAD, is the school's awareness of their students' mental health and the availability of counseling. This is something that has come up lately because unfortunately SCAD does become pretty overwhelming for a lot of students, and at the end of the quarter there's very, very limited counseling, if any. So if you know that you're gonna probably have a harder time adjusting, or you know something's gonna come up, or you're just feeling down and you might need to talk to somebody, sign up for counseling as soon as you possibly can, because those slots will fill up, and honestly the school's not gonna do too much for you because they do have very limited resources. Or if you know that you're gonna need to see somebody on a weekly basis or even like an every other week basis, I would look actually in Savannah and ask SCAD their recommendations for somebody local and outside of the school, because SCAD's counseling, while it is available, it's not necessarily the most available amenity that they have. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on, which is probably the most important part, is that in the end, your degree does not matter. It's what you do with it. So the reason why people go to SCAD is because they're like me. I didn't have any art education. I don't know anybody that could have gotten me a job in interior design. I could not become an interior designer without a degree because it's required for my license, but I know that there are majors that don't require a degree. So even if you graduate with a 4.0 and you get a degree, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a job right away if you do not take advantage of the connections and the opportunities and the collaborations that SCAD offers to you. So a few helpful things that I found is getting involved in clubs and groups and just things that you find are fun. I was in the sustainability club, which actually wasn't really an interior designer focused club at first, and then it became like only interior designers, because sustainability is an important part in interior design, but that can be applied to so many other majors, even industrial design, fashion, fibers. It goes across all majors, and there's so many clubs that you can get involved with. I even did a lot of part-time modeling with SCAD. So I got to model in the SCAD fashion show, and for some students, because there's photo majors and fashion majors and fibers majors and advertising majors and film majors, and they always need a model, and there's always somebody to collaborate with. So just make sure that you network with your peers, because you never know down the line when they might need you. Another thing that I recommend is definitely try to get as many internships and job opportunities within your major as you can while you're still in school, because that's going to look really good on a job application, is that you not only just took the steps and got the grades, but you pushed outside of those boundaries and branched out more than just school, because they want to see somebody who's already been within that world and will easily adjust to a career path. So if you're able to get an internship, do that. So I believe that's everything that I wish I knew about SCAD. There's so many SCAD alumni now that have graduated with me and have gone out and done absolutely amazing things. I hope some of you are watching this video right now, because I love you and I miss you all. And I just want us all to be back in Savannah in our little groups and be able to hang out all the time. And now we're just scattered. We're kind of spread out all over the world, and I know people who have already had amazing opportunities and have amazing work to show for it. And I'm just really proud of my fellow bees, and I hope that somebody out there is watching this and feels not only inspired but a little more educated about their choice to go to SCAD, or even their choice to pursue something else. I should just end this with a bee joke. Who's a bee's favorite singer? Beyonce. Okay, I should not end my videos with jokes.